You're on the spot.
Oh, first question's coming out the gate. I love it when they frame it this way. Didn't you forget about the Hogyoku's evolution abilities, allowing Aizen to adapt on the fly and make it more powerful than Madara?
No.
I know, that's how I always answer those questions. Didn't you forget?
Of course not.
That's really good. Yeah,
That's good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, so the thing with the Hogyoku's adaptations abilities is it's not super well defined. In terms of like the adaptations that he gets in his fight with Ichigo, is it basically just makes him stronger to match Ichigo's level of strength, which is what he wanted. It's not like it's mentioned that the Hogyoku can like is like a reality warping thing. But the limit, like, it doesn't really show off the kind of extent that of those kind of powers that would be needed to match someone with the versatility of Madara. So we can only kind of go off of what the best thing it's been shown to do. Similarly, this is something we didn't mention because it was just, I felt it was kind of like too absurd, was that Madara can use Izanagi, which can warp reality. He usually uses it to kind of escape from death, but it does briefly warp reality in kind of a small way. Add on to the fact that he would be able to, like, he mentions at one point when he makes shadow clones, that, or wood clones or whatever, that like one of the 5 Kage is like, you're fucking busted, this is unfair. And he's like, would you prefer that each of my clones use Susanoo? Which implies that each of his, or just means that each of his clones has the chakra capability to like use a fucking Susanoo, which means that each of their eyes would individually be capable of Izanagi, which roughly gives you about 15 seconds worth of like reality warping. So that's a lot, right? He could just keep pumping shadow clones over and over and over to warp reality in small ways to give him the results that he wanted in a way that's more concrete than Aizen can with Hogyoku. So the answer is it's impossible to determine Hogyoku's full extent of adaptation, and Madara's would have been better anyways. More versatile. Yeah. It also reverse time too. So if any adaptation that he doesn't like from Aizen, just uses the Mangekyou shotgun versus time.
Probably should have mentioned earlier. Spoilers.
You gotta be fucking kidding me! That's ridiculous! Like, what?
That's right. I am Kira.
This one has been a long time coming. Similar to Brandon Yates, this man has escaped me for far too long. And though I've mentioned him before briefly in other videos, it's about time that he got addressed individually in a solo video. Liam Swan, one of the head writers of Death Battle, as well as subsequently one of the researchers, as you just saw, gave his justifications for the masterpiece of shit that is Madara versus Aizen. And as you can tell, this man is out of his fucking mind. And this definitely isn't going to be the Madara versus Aizen video that I promised so many years ago, but believe me, that one will come. But this rant video is going to just briefly address Liam. And it's sad because originally I was actually going to make a top 10 list of the best Death Battle themes because people felt that I'm not the most positive towards Death Battle, but then I just happened to scroll upon this while going through Twitter, and I can't ignore it. It's about time to address Liam Swan. And I'm going to mostly just focus on this one point. I'm not going to debunk the whole Death Battle. Believe me, that's something that will take likely multiple parts just to even do, because there's so much bullshit in that one episode. But we're going to address this because I had my doubts, but now I am convinced that this man is the actual mastermind behind just about every shitty all-time worst death battle you can think of. Name it. Name any death battle you think of that is the worst death battle you've ever seen. I guarantee you this man is behind it. And if you have doubts about that, a little bit of a reminder that this is the mastermind behind Green Lantern versus Ben 10. And as it stands right now, Madara versus Aizen is his magnum opus of shit. So let's not waste any more time. let's get into this. So as you can tell by the clip that has been provided, Liam tried to give his answers for why Death Battle seemingly swept Aizen's greatest weapon under the rug, the Hogyoku, arguably the thing that makes him one of the most uniquely overpowered anime characters, and he tries to hand wave it away. Now, before we begin, and I apologize if this intro is getting long, but I need to provide context. So for anybody who isn't super familiar with Bleach lore, I am going to leave a short clip explaining what the Hogyoku is and how it works, and then I'm going to break it down into power scaling terms, and then we'll go into the rant and talk about why Liam is talking out of his ass here. So just bear with me. If you're a Bleach fan and you already know all this, I apologize. But again, I just want to provide context. So take it away.
A lot of people don't understand how strong the Hogyoku makes Aizen. That's because a lot of people don't understand what the Hogyoku is. But for one to really understand how the Hogyoku works, you have to understand how it was created. Kisuke Hirohara was the first person to create the incomplete version of the Hogyoku. But the reason why Kisuke wanted to create the Hogyoku is because he wanted to break down the boundaries between Soul Reapers and Hollows, because he believed the two races could somehow awaken their inner latent talent or whatever. More of the story is he wanted to fuse the two races because he was bored on a Sunday afternoon.
And Kisuke succeeded in doing that when he ended up creating the visors.
Herein lies the problem. Kisuke didn't intentionally create the visors. The visors were created because Kisuke didn't even understand how the Hogyoku fully worked, which is why he called it unstable. But this is essentially where Aizen comes into play. Aizen affected the visors with like a mini hollow pathogen. Aizen pretty much attacked the visors with the prototype of white. But considering this was the prototype of Aizen's experiment, the visors were going to completely turn into hollows and they were going to die. But Kisuke ended up using the Hogyoku to stabilize them. But Kisuke couldn't completely reverse it because he didn't want to. And what I mean by that is Kisuke didn't understand that the Hogyoku was also a wish-granting device. But the Hogyoku doesn't just grant any wish. It grants the wishes of your soul. It grants the wishes deep down, whether you want it to or not. And Kisuke wished to break the barrier between Hollows and Soul Reapers, so it ended up in the Visor's creation, because deep down, that's what he wanted to happen. And Kisuke, not fully understanding the Hogyoku and realizing it was dangerous, he kind of just tapped Rukia on the shoulder and sealed it inside of her unwillingly, which is kind of crazy now that I think about it. He was damn near like, here, damn, take this.
And the only reason the Hogyoku didn't fuse with Rukia is because first off, Rukia didn't notice it was there. And second off, Kisuke intended for it to be sealed, meaning deep down he wanted it to stay inactive.
So essentially, being near the inactive Hogyoku inside of Rukia is the reason that Chad and Orihime have Fullbringers. The Hogyoku literally manifested Chad and Orihime's inner desires as Fullbringer abilities.
But here's the thing, Aizen was working on his own Hogyoku, but he just couldn't get it to work. However, he saw that his classmate Kisuke was working on his own. So he was like, what if I just turn both of our work into the teacher at once? However, I'm gonna write my name on both the sheets. So essentially, Aizen grabs his Hogyoku and Kisuke's Hogyoku and he fuses them together. That results in the perfect Hogyoku. And the perfect Hogyoku is a device which allows him to break the boundaries between Soul Reapers and Hollows and complete any wish that the soul desires. And we all know that Aizen wanted to become the new Soul King. And that desire allowed Aizen to get quick, fast evolutions. Basically, anytime Aizen got close to losing, he'd just evolve past whatever he was facing.
But to put how fast this evolution works in perspective, Dangai Ichigo took 3 months of straight training to acquire, and Ichigo already has fast learning potential, just because of all his races already. And we all know that Ichigo was completely overwhelming Aizen. Literally a couple minutes later, Aizen evolved into a form which allowed him to overpower Dangai. People have the common misconception that after getting hit with Mugetsu, Aizen got cut in half. But in reality, Aizen was completely disintegrated. It was just a visual that made it look like he got cut in half. He literally regenerated from nothingness. The Hogyoku makes Aizen immortal. And Kisuke elaborates that the only reason the sealing even worked on Aizen is because the Hogyoku wasn't even really sure about what Aizen really wanted deep down. The Hogyoku is also so crazy that it literally allowed Aizen to completely fuse with his Zanpakuto and get even stronger while he is.
Okay, so let's break this down, and I'm going to do my best to be as quick about this as possible because I know you all want to get to the rant and get to Liam. So real quick, a little bit of a breakdown of what this man just said. So here's the basic rundown of how the Hogyoku works. The Hogyoku is a wish-granting device with pieces of the Soul King inside of it. So essentially what this thing does is think of the Triforce from Legend of Zelda, or the Holy Grail from the Fate franchise. So essentially what this thing does is it can grant wishes, but it works a little bit differently because, as you heard, it manifests the desires of what somebody wants deep down inside, and can even force their wishes to come true even against their will. And for Liam to say that the Hogyoku is not well defined is total bullshit, and we'll get into that, because the Hogyoku is arguably one of the most important items in all of Bleach, because without the Hogyoku, the entire Bleach storyline doesn't even happen. Many characters don't even exist, and many characters don't even have powers without the Hogyoku. The Hogyoku was always there and had a major contributing factor to people like Chad and Orihime gaining powers, and things like the visors being able to come into existence, and Aizen even being able to create hybrid beings like Ichigo. So essentially what it does is it not only grants wishes, but essentially what it does is it gives a power bestowal as well as what is known as reactive evolution. Now, for those that don't know what reactive evolution is, think of Doomsday. What Doomsday has is reactive evolution, and essentially what that means is if you, say, beat the shit out of Doomsday, or you beat the shit out of a Saiyan, they come back stronger, right? Well, in the case of Aizen, it grants him the same thing. The Hogyoku can evolve Aizen reactively based on if he is being defeated or if Aizen desires to become more powerful. And it can work even if you kill Aizen, as seen when Gin literally put a hole in Aizen's heart using his Bankai. And even then, Aizen was still able to not only come back to life, but come back stronger than he was before. The same was true of his battle against Ichigo. The more Ichigo pushed him, the more powerful he became. The best way I can describe this is, think of Saitama from One Punch Man. He has limitless potential, and what that means is he has limitless potential of how powerful Saitama can become. But in the case of Aizen, he has a more broken form of that, because Aizen doesn't even need to train to gain more power. All he has to do is desire in his soul to want to become more powerful, or even be killed in combat, and the Hogyoku will protect its master and manifest any power that his master desires, or even bring him back to life if it senses that his master is in danger. It can even force Aizen into a more powerful form, even if he does not want it in that moment, such as his battle against Ichigo. And it also allows him to bestow powers and transform beings, such as being able to turn hollows into soul reapers by giving them soul reaper powers, and turning soul reapers into hollows by giving them hollow powers, like what happened with the Visors and what happened with the Espada and characters like Kaname. So it is an incredibly powerful object that gives Aizen literal limitless potential as to what he can become. Aizen can think of any power he wants and manifest it. He can become more powerful as a fight goes along, even if he's fighting somebody that's more powerful than him. And more importantly, it gives Aizen access to high levels of immortality, such as reliant immortality, meaning so long as the Hogyoku exists, you can never truly kill Aizen. Even if you separate Aizen from the Hogyoku, he will come back to life. As stated by the man in the video, Ichigo completely atomized Aizen, disintegrated his entire being, and Aizen literally just regenerated and got back up 2 seconds later like nothing even happened. And not only did he fuse with his Zanpakuto, but he also became even more powerful than Ichigo was in that moment, and Ichigo was using Mugetsu at that point. So Ichigo was about as close to as powerful as Ichigo had ever been in that moment. So the Hogyoku is extremely well defined in what it does. So now for what you've been waiting for. For Liam to say that the Hogyoku is not well defined at all is bullshit. And it goes to show that Liam did not do his fucking research. There are countless videos that explain what the Hogyoku is. And I will even link some of these videos in the description if you're curious about finding out more about it. But we know exactly what the Hogyoku does. Here's the problem though. Death Battle clearly wanted Madara to win. That is very clear. Death Battle showed non-subtle bias in favor of Madara. Not to mention, Death Battle has openly admitted in the past that they do not know how to power scale Bleach. They also have shown that they cannot even get basic information about Bleach correct, such as when they called Rukia the head of Soul Society or something like that, which is not what Rukia was at all. Rukia goes through most of the series not even being a captain. So what this shows is that Liam and everybody else on the Death Battle crew, they did not do their research. And again, this is a wish-granting device that can literally give Aizen any power that he needs and allow him to grow. And he tries to say that, oh, well, it has a limit or something like that. No, it does not. As soon as Aizen became a transcendent being, no matter how hard people fought Aizen, no matter how many attempts people made to kill him, Aizen just kept coming back. The big reason why Aizen could not be killed was because of the Hogyoku. The Central 46 openly admitted that they could not kill Aizen, and that was why they had to put him in Mukin. And Aizen knows this. And keep in mind, in the Bleach universe, they have access to existence erasure. They have access to weapons and powers that can outright erase souls from existence, and even Central 46 said, yeah, we can't kill this guy, so we gotta lock him up. And what's stupid is Liam tries to claim that, oh, well, Madara can warp reality or something like that and manipulate time. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? You cannot compare Madara's abilities in any way to the Hogyoku because it's not even comparable. Yes, the Hogyoku does warp reality to a certain extent, but it's a little bit more than that. And also, you want to sit here and say that, oh, well, Madara can just like keep becoming more powerful because he can just keep warping reality or some nonsense like that. But here's the thing. First off, I don't know what is the point of bringing up that Madara can manipulate time, because guess what? So can Aizen. There is a forbidden Kido that Aizen knows that allows him to manipulate time. So that is a completely meaningless argument. And also, you can bring up the Black Coffin, which Aizen states that the Black Coffin, especially when performed by a being that transcends both Hollow and Soul Reaper, can warp both space and time. So that is way more advanced than anything fucking Madara has at his disposal. And again, even if you could make some kind of argument that Madara is stronger than Aizen, of course he isn't, but even if you could prove that, it wouldn't matter, because yes, Aizen would just keep evolving until eventually he became more powerful than Madara. That is exactly how the Hogyoku works. And Liam's attempts to try to hand wave this away is bullshit. He just shows that he either doesn't understand the Hogyoku or he does understand it, but again, they did not want Aizen to win, so they had to try to kind of bullshit around it. Keep in mind, this was the same guy that wrote Green Lantern cutting off the Omnitrix from Ben 10's hand, even though they explained in that same episode that the Omnitrix cannot be removed from Ben 10's hand under any circumstances, and it has auto defenses for that. So to be able to do that is just stupid. And it shows that Liam either doesn't pay attention to what he writes, or he just doesn't care and will ignore anything that is inconvenient to the narrative that they are trying to sell. And again, that's just par for the course with Liam, apparently. So I would say Liam is either not a smart guy, or again, he is incredibly biased. And there is just so much bullshit involved, because he wants to talk about Madara being able to manipulate reality or whatever. First off, Aizen, yes, you could maybe potentially make the argument that Aizen has a certain degree of reality warping, but not all reality warping is made equal. For example, there are different levels of reality warping. Somebody like Madara is not on the same level as somebody like the Big Head Killer, who is a high-level reality warper with access to the Toon Force that can literally just manifest anything that he wants without even a care in the world. Or there are characters in Bleach like Grimmy that quite literally has the power of imagination itself. He can turn fiction into reality. Anything he imagines becomes real, no matter what. And his power is only limited by his imagination. And the Hogyoku gives Aizen similar abilities. Not to mention, the Hogyoku also, similar to the Omnitrix, it has auto defenses to protect its master. For example, when Kisuke Urahara tried using a series of Kidos to kill Aizen, you know what the Hogyoku did? It just made Aizen immune to Kidos. And it only shut this resistance off because Aizen wanted to lose deep down inside, and that is something that Ichigo confirms. The only reason why Aizen lost was because deep down inside, he wanted to. He wanted to finally meet his match. He wanted to finally fight against somebody that was more powerful than him. That was why he created Ichigo in the first place, to become his equal. And once Ichigo used Mugetsu, the fight was essentially over with at that point, and Aizen knew it, and the Hogyoku knew it. So the Hogyoku allowed the seal that Kisuke planted on him, which was, by the way, a specially made Kido that Kisuke made specifically for Aizen personally. And the Hogyoku only allowed it to work when Aizen wanted it to work. So essentially, it doesn't matter what power Madara has. Madara can try to erase him from existence with a truth-seeking orb, but it won't matter because, ignoring the fact that the truth-seeking orb is just a shittier version of things that they already have in Bleach, like the final Getsuga, for example, that's like a truth-seeking orb on fucking steroids. It completely atomized Aizen's soul. And what you have to keep in mind is characters in Bleach, they do not have physical bodies. Their bodies are nothing more than manifestations of spirit energy and spirit particles. This is why it's explained in Bleach that weapons from the mortal realm cannot affect Soul Reapers or Hollows in any way because they're not even in the physical realm. They don't have physical bodies. Soul Reapers have to use Gigais just to be able to exist within the physical realm and be able to interact in the physical realm and not kill humans. So, yeah. So essentially, anything Madara has that doesn't affect spiritual beings would not even be able to work on Aizen. And Aizen can erase people from existence simply by touching them or flexing his spirit energy. Aizen has something known as passive existence erasure, meaning what it does is if Aizen walks past you, you just get vaporized from existence like that. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Aizen doesn't even need any kind of special ability of existence erasure to even be able to do this. And I'm sorry, but you cannot compare Edo Tensei to Soul Reapers. They are not equivalent. Edo Tensei are nothing more than zombies. That's all that it is. It's just a reanimation jutsu. It has nothing to do with turning people into spiritual beings. And the truth-seeking orbs wouldn't even affect Aizen, because there are beings in the Bleach universe known as Quincy. And Quincy's use many weapons that literally erase souls from existence completely. Part of the reason why the Soul Society went to war with the Quincy's was because they kept erasing hollows from existence, and it started upsetting the balance of souls and threatened to end the Bleach cosmos, so they literally had to exterminate the Quincy and go to war with them. And that's just the Quincy themselves. Aizen has far more advanced forms of existence erasure than even what the Quincy have. And what's even more stupid about this is Liam says that, oh, well, this ability gives Madara access to 15 seconds worth of reality warping, and it only works on a small level, while simultaneously saying that it gives Madara greater reality warping over the Hogyoku, which is a wish-granting device that can literally manifest any power that its wielder so desires, and can keep continuously making Aizen more powerful. So even as Liam is trying to talk out of his ass, he still can't even be consistent with his own logic. And in regards to the Susanoo, miss me with that shit, okay? Aizen literally one-shot his universe's equivalent of the Susanoo, and it wasn't even fucking remotely close. There's a character in Bleach known as Sajin Komamura, and his Bankai is essentially just a fucking Susanoo. And this ability was one-shot by Aizen, and Aizen was able to just completely tank a hit from this thing and destroy its weapon and structural integrity just by casually flexing his power. And then when he starts talking about trying to overwhelm him with physical strength, and keep in mind, this is just base Soul Reaper Aizen, not even using the Hogyoku, he just swings his sword once and completely cuts down this perfect, like, Susanoo equivalent, essentially. It is Bleach's equivalent of the Susanoo. When you look at what the Susanoo it is literally just basically the same thing as Komamura's Bankai, and Aizen cut that down. So this is utter nonsense. And trying to bring up the versatility of Madara's abilities, like, that is such a nothing burger argument. This is like that time that they tried to say that, oh, well, Spawn has more abilities and better abilities than Ghost Rider, so therefore Spawn wins. First off, even before Aizen fused with the Hogyoku, by the way, that's another thing about the Hogyoku, it's fused into his soul. It is a part of Aizen itself, just like his Zanpakuto. Even if you remove it from its body, it will literally just teleport back to Aizen at will. So you can't even remove it from Aizen's body. You can't separate him from it. It is a part of his soul. This is why he cannot be killed, because so long as the Hogyoku exists, it will just keep bringing Aizen back, and each time you kill Aizen, he will only come back more powerful. Again, this works very similarly to the Zenkai boost from Dragon Ball Z. We all know how that works. You beat the living crap out of a Saiyan, they get healed, they come back stronger based on the damage that you did to them. And if you put a Saiyan into a near-death state or outright kill them, they come back even more powerful than if you just beat the living crap out of them. And the Hogyoku is like this, but better, because the Hogyoku can do it instantly and Aizen doesn't even need to train. All he has to do is just desire it so, and it will make him more powerful. It can even force this on Aizen against its will, because it's also explained that the Hogyoku has a will of its own, and it can grant the desires of anything in the vicinity of the area, just like it did with Chad and Orihime. And keep this in mind, what the heck does versatility mean when, again, even before Aizen got the Hogyoku, Aizen had mastered every form of sword combat within Soul Society. He mastered every form of martial art within Soul Society and all 100 Kidos, which is basically magic. He mastered all of that, and that was just when Aizen was a Soul Reaper. When he gets the Hogyoku, he is able to manifest powers that others cannot. And he can manifest other powers. The Hogyoku was able to give Aizen immortality, high-speed regeneration, teleportation, among other abilities, and even make him immune to Kido, which is essentially just magic. And he can manifest even more powers. Again, the potential with Aizen is limitless. The only catch to the Hogyoku is it is dependent on the will and desires of its master. Aizen explains that you still have to have the willpower and the potential to be able to manifest the desires. But when you are as powerful as Aizen, somebody who was already an abnormally powerful Soul Reaper, born with an abnormal amount of spirit energy, similar to the likes of Kenpachi and Ichigo, it is very easy for Aizen to manifest these powers. I want you to put this into perspective, and this is another thing that frustrates me about this death battle, is they completely all but ignore Thousand Year Blood War. When Aizen was locked up in Mugetsu, he was covered in seals that were restricting his power. And even then, while Aizen was locked up in Muken, attached to a cross that was limiting and restricting his power, Aizen was able to become stronger. And Kisuke said that Aizen had become more powerful than when he battled against Ichigo at that point in time. So when Aizen told Ichigo that I am going to become more powerful than you, he wasn't bullshitting, because he did. He became so powerful that even while being in a chair that's restricting his powers and being covered in seals, he was able to destroy the Soul King's spirit energy that was going to destroy all of Soul Society and shoot down the Soul Palace itself. And that was Aizen not even trying. And that's the problem here. They ignore so much because they wanted Madara to win, because Death Battle, for some reason, has some kind of bias against Bleach. I don't know what Death Battle's beef is with Bleach, but you can't say that Death Battle was not biased, because when you look at the way Wiz talked about Madara versus how they were talking about Aizen, it is clear that they were fanboying all over Madara. And there's nothing in Madara's arsenal that could kill Aizen permanently. Remember how in death battles like Deadpool versus Deathstroke, Death Battle would say that Deathstroke did not have the means to kill Deadpool permanently and keep him down? Well, that's true here. But because Death Battle can't be consistent, they will not even be consistent with their own logic. Because if Death Battle follows their own logic, Aizen wins. So this is total bullshit. Now, I will stop it here because there is so much more that I want to say about this, but I just wanted to take a little bit of time to call out Liam. And like I said, I do believe that Liam is the true mastermind behind all of these all-time worst death battles. And I am going to be keeping a very close eye on him, especially with the upcoming Columbo versus Light Yagami. Now remember, this is a matchup that is only happening because Liam wants to do it. This is a matchup that Liam wants to do, and though it may sound impossible, I have no doubt in my mind that Light Yagami versus Columbo has the potential to surpass Madara versus Aizen and become Liam's new magnum opus of shit. Because Aizen versus Madara doesn't work on any level. Everything about it sucks. The animation sucks, the writing sucks, the portrayal of the characters suck, and more importantly, the research and analysis sucks. And apparently, Liam is a very big Columbo fan. So it is highly likely that Liam is just going to fuck over Light Yagami. Even if Light Yagami should be able to defeat Columbo, he will find a way to make Columbo win. Remember how I warned you guys that Ben Singer being a Buffy fan was a red flag and would likely lead to Blade being fucked over? Well, it turns out that I was right about that, and I will likely mention this during my prediction video whenever that death battle comes out, but keep that in mind. Liam is a Columbo fan, so if Light Yagami loses to Columbo, even if Light Yagami should win, do not be surprised, because I have no doubt in my mind that that's what Liam is going to do. And I do feel like I've been a little bit too harsh on Death Battle, because usually when Death Battle fucks something up, I often blame them, not knowing that you had people like Liam behind the scenes pulling the strings. So, until further notice, I am giving Liam Swan the title of God Emperor Bullshitter Supreme. And he will maintain that title until somebody surpasses him. And now I know who the true mastermind is. And you want to play this chess match with me and Death Battle? Bring it on, Liam. Because believe me, I'm not going to be ignoring you anymore. I'm going to be giving you the special treatment that you so deserve. So, a bit of an impromptu rant that I did not have planned, but consider this a little demo of what's to come in the future. I know a lot of you are really holding your breath and want to know my thoughts on Madara versus Aizen after so many years of build-up. And don't worry, it's going to happen. But given how big that death battle is, just like Swan versus Ghost Rider, I want to save it for a special occasion. I want to do that death battle when it's the right time. So don't worry, it will come. It will happen. But until then, I will leave you with this little appetizer. Now, with that being said, I'll see you guys around next time.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 This looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, 'cause we need a little controversy, 'cause it feels so empty without me. I said this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, 'cause we need a little controversy.